Hello, everyone, and welcome to the newest episode of Marvel Talk, where we're talking the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. As always, for Marvel Talk, I'm going to be joined by my friend Andre C.
Hello.
And as always, when we have these bigger specials, we want to go ahead and bring in some friends. So down here, we got from Bustin' Out, Bobby Munson.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing today?
Going good. Bobby also does all kinds of other shows here on local establishment, so make sure that you're keeping an eye out for all of those shows, including Fusion, Ring Respect Radio, Busting Out, The Bravado, just to name a few.
Just we've got a few things out there, and then I come hop on board whenever I can to have some fun with all of my good friends here. So glad you guys had me today.
Glad to have you here, Bobby. Really, very much am.
And Andre, let's go ahead and jump right in. Let's give your thoughts on the Guardians of the Holiday Special as a general non-spoiler section.
I had so much fun. Just again, it brought up the feel of the old Star Wars Holiday Special in a sense, and I think that's what they were aiming for with this is to, but not to be as bad again in that sense, because I thought it was a really well done story. There's a great story of Drax and Mantis in this. They were really at the forefront for this, and that's what I really enjoyed about having those two really at the forefront of this. And just the overall just fun of this thing was great. I watched it on my lunch break at work on the Friday, then I watched it later on the Friday night, and then I watched it again this morning. I absolutely have had just a blast with this, and I just want more. I want more, and from at the end we might get another one. You never know.
Yeah, Bobby?
Yeah, I mean, just to, piggyback off those sentiments there, this was a lot of fun. I kind of went into it not knowing what to think. You hear James Gunn wanted to give a nod to the Star Wars Holiday Special, and that might turn a lot of people off immediately when they hear that kind of thing. But he grew up as a fan of things like that, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and all the great holiday classics that we have in the canon. And though he wanted to go and create his own this time around, and I didn't know what to think going into it, but man, was I treated to a lot of fun. The wife and I sat down and watched this on a Friday night, and we really enjoyed ourselves, so much so that this will be a repeat watch. This definitely is now in the list of Christmas things to watch every single year for sure.
Yeah, I was truly inspired by how much they did with so few characters in such a short amount of time, but felt fully fleshed out and real. There are some gaps, and we'll get to that when we get to our spoiler review, because there are some things that they're like, oh, this happened. And you're like, wait, what?
Yeah, a big one.
A couple big ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was really enjoyable. It was a fun watch. I didn't feel like, at the end of it, I'm like, 40 minutes already? Oh, wow. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
These holiday these special presentations they're doing fly by. It is also a little sad, and I'll say it's a little sad because this is one of the last things we're going to get from James Gunn in the Marvel world.
Yeah,
because for all those who forget, because James Gunn is pretty evident about what he's doing, but remember, this and Guardians 3 are the last two official things that James Gunn has to do for Marvel before he takes over as co-creative director, CEO, I forget, of DC Online, the universe of DC.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I forget what his exact title is.
Yeah, he's doing, and that's sad to me because I've loved James Gunn stuff in Marvel and DC and the DC stuff he's done so far. So not getting to see these characters go forward with possibly him after the third one comes out next year, it's bittersweet.
The other question is, do we think Kevin Feige is going to continue to work with and have a slight partnership with DC? We've seen DC characters mentioned now multiple times. In this special, we get one. We saw it in the Eternals. DC characters are actual superheroes in the world of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Those characters exist. Those people exist. Kevin and Sean Gunn work very well. Sean Gunn. Well, I'm sure he works well with Sean, but James. They work well together. Just because he's heading DC and the fans are like DC and Marvel doesn't necessarily mean he won't come back and do something else.
Yeah, and that's a really good point to make as well too, Ed, because it's nice when people can work things out and you can get those kind of crossovers and tease people with the fact that we could see some other kind of special down the road where that crossover could filter in together, and maybe DC and Marvel can exist in the same space and do some coexisting on a future special down the road, and it might do wonders for both parties.
Yeah, I think so too. Because like with James Gunn, he has an established relationship. Yes, there was some strange stuff there a couple of years back, but he has a relationship with Kevin Feige, and that would be a great partnership because he could use actors between both worlds. You never know. We could get there. There was crossovers in the comics at one point. You never know. We might get like an Elseworlds Marvel versus DC at some point. Like, if these two. They two don't hate each other, obviously, so it's possible to some down the road. But like, just to be able to see, hopefully, James can come back and maybe do a Guardians 4 in a few years. That would be great.
Yeah, and of course, this will all depend on what we see happen in Guardians 3 and how they want to take that. We're going to go ahead, but obviously, Parrish says everything you need to say about this entire special with "I am Groot."
I am Groot.
I mean, Parrish, we're not in the spoiler section. I don't know how you would say something like that, but All right, we'll go ahead and because of that, we'll jump into the spoiler section. So,
big warning
for anybody watching who hasn't seen the special. There's not a lot of things that come out of here that are real spoilers, but in the first 5 minutes and in the last 30 seconds of the actual special, not the post-credit scene, you get like the 2 bomb drops of the entire episode. So let's start with the first one, the most important one for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We now have confirmation that Mantis and Quill are step siblings
or half siblings.
Half siblings.
Yeah.
They are both children of Ego.
Yeah, so that means Star-Lord is not the only one that has survived not being killed by his father, because like looking at before, every kid that he had brought to him had been killed except for Mantis, because he was always looking for that one true heir, but she was obviously the person that could do something for him at least.
And watching this, I wasn't 100% certain that this was going to be as canon as it was, but then when you start to crack into it, this is canon. It very much is canon, and I kind of got that impression like, oh, are they just doing this as a little Christmas bonus, something just to have some fun with? And no, that's not the case. This is going to start to play into Guardians 3, and I believe that James Gunn himself said that a lot of the things he was able to do with this holiday special is set up a lot of things that he just wouldn't have had the time to set up going into the third Guardians movie.
Well, characters too,
James Gunn.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Cosmo alone, like you had minor views of Cosmo before, but supposedly Cosmo, the dog, is going to be not like a big full-fledged character in the movie, but a bigger character in Guardians 3. So having the dog introduced in this special, I think, was a great introduction for it. And the other introduction, it's like, I know they're in the Marvel Legends thing. There was a behind-the-scenes special about Mantis. I guess they showed a clip in it of her and Drax talking about her being his sister, but nobody knew for sure if it was canon or because it was a cut scene from Guardians 2. But I'd never seen it. I never heard about it until after I watched the special, and then I was looking about it, and I'm like, oh, that existed already? And it blew my mind.
Yeah, it was a good surprise, big surprise, but also that made this the fun that it was. This really stuck to what the script was and how it was supposed to play out, and made this very enjoyable.
Yeah, and James Gunn, like we said, Bobby mentioned, was very adamant to say this is Guardians 2.5. There are definite things he wanted to do here. And it's nice because after sitting through 2 hours and 40 minutes of Wakanda Forever, while it's a great movie and it's a wonderful movie, there are portions of that movie that had to be in there because we needed a catharsis and we needed to kind of close off those storylines. I would have less liked it if we would have had the 10, 15 minutes of story here tacked on to Guardians 3. I think it fit a lot better into a holiday special. We also have now I don't remember this, so correct me if I'm wrong if we've seen this before anywhere else. The Guardians bought Nowhere from the Collector. Has this been mentioned before? Because it was a passing line in this movie. Like, we were all supposed to know it already.
Yeah, Nebula just dropped it. It was weird. I didn't expect that.
Yeah. And I'm not up on it enough to be able to give you any better answer than that, too.
Yeah, but I like it because it gives the Guardians a home, which is something that the Guardians of the Galaxy, and yes, the space is their home. But for Quill, it was always like, it's nice seeing him find a home. There's some place where he belongs in this world now. But we can go into, more of the special going from start to finish if we want here. One of my favorite things about this special was the fact that I almost thought I was watching the wrong thing when all of a sudden it starts out as this 2D animated show. And I'm like,
yeah,
is this a prequel or like, what is this? It was adorable though. Here's Sean like narrating this like Christmas scene that he was a part of with Yondu and Quill is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, you did the exact same thing we did on Friday night. As soon as we turned it on, like, did we put the right thing on? Why is this 2D animation going down? And then when it kicks in, it's like, oh, okay, nice little surprise. That was a nice touch. It was fun, but again, it really confusing at first that you think you clicked the show beside it accidentally.
Yeah, I was the same way. I'm flipping up on my phone on my lunch break, start watching it, and I'm like, and I click on the screen to make sure it says Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, and it does. I'm like, I'm so confused. And then, especially with Yondu as part of it, I'm like, he's dead. What the hell's going on here? And then after a minute or two, you realize, oh, okay, it's just a story. But yeah, I was like, the animation style was just absolutely gorgeous. I loved the way they did it in that part. It was just, it was perfect.
Yeah.
The meat and potatoes of this show is great. We have some of the Guardians. We have Kraglin, we have Nebula, we have Drax, Mantis, all standing around on the ledge, and they're all talking about how it's Christmas time. We don't get the scene from the ads that we've seen where they talk about how sad Quill is and everything else, but we do get the idea that Christmas was ruined for Quill as a child by Yondu. And how, it would be nice to, bring that Christmas magic back to Peter. So a plan is hatched by Mantis and Drax, who, by the way, are the two perfect people to work with each other. Calm and Dave Bautista are the best odd couple because neither one is the straight man. Neither one knows what the hell they're talking about. They're just randomly doing things. And it's hysterical.
In the context of this special, it worked beautifully as well, too. The back and forth, especially once they get to Earth and some of the disasters that they cause. I was in stitches at how funny their comedic timing was.
Yeah, these two together, and Dave Bautista's comedic timing is absolutely phenomenal. Like, I went and saw Glass Onion this weekend too, and he's, again, his comedy chops is, I think that's the greatest thing of him as an actor and everything he's done is how good he is comedically. And then Palm Clementis' Mantis, she is so good. I like the reactions to his deadpan, how she reacts to it. It's just amazing. It's just so funny.
Yeah, it's absolutely great. As we mentioned earlier, we see scenes of Rocket and Cosmo the dog trying to go ahead and fix up a building using Cosmo's psychic powers. That's great. I find out that Cosmo's a girl. I had no idea. I thought Cosmo was the bestest boy. Apparently, Cosmo's not a boy. So,
well, even James Gunn said he was flipping the gender to, I guess, the first dog into space with a female, and that's what he's going for. And that why because Cosmo in the comics was a boy, yeah. But I don't think it really matters.
No.
Nope. The actress portraying Cosmo as a voiceover is fantastic. She was a delight in the small scenes that we got her in with Rocket.
She played Borat's daughter, I think. Yeah. So she was funny.
Yeah.
So then we head to Earth. We have
Hold on.
in
no.
the
I
boat.
got one more thing. One more thing.
Yep.
Is the song.
Oh, the
That's
first
Oh,
one.
I
Yeah.
almost forgot about this song.
Oh,
The
I
old
don't-
97. The old 97s.
Yeah. I don't know what Christmas is, but Christmas is here.
dude, he shoots missiles at your toes. He has a Santa has a flamethrower.
Yeah.
Like he's a master burglar. Like, dude, but it all makes total sense of somebody that has no idea what Christmas is, and you tell them just random stories about Christmas. I can understand why somebody not from Earth would think exactly that, and it was just absolutely the greatest Christmas song I've ever listened. I've listened to it multiple times on Spotify now. Like it's my new Christmas theme for this year, 100%. I'm going to play that at least once a day, going up till Christmas.
Yeah. And it's fantastic too with Peter Quill standing there and correcting them as they're singing the song. It's like, nope, that's not the mythology. Nope, that's not how it goes down.
He
Very,
doesn't
very
have a
comical.
flamethrower.
Yeah.
The best thing
So
I
good.
think about this is when he's asked how he got all this information and what happened. It's third-hand information. It's information that Peter gave to Kraglin, that Kraglin gave to Rocket, that Rocket told the guy who wrote the song.
Yeah,
So of course,
yeah.
It's
of
telephone.
course, Rocket Raccoon. Of course,
Couldn't
Rocket
make shit up.
Raccoon would get stories about Santa and assume that he is some like person who sneaks into your house like a burglar to drop off toys and leave things in your shoes and has missiles. Like, it's just so great. The old
Puts dung in
97s.
your socks.
I thought it was the bare naked lady. I thought it was naked ladies because of how funny it was and the kind of like, upbeat was. I'm like, oh, is this the bare naked ladies? And I look it up. It's the old 97s. They're one of the favorite bands of James Gunn, which is how they got the art. They were fantastic. The song was great. As Andre says, it's going to be in my holiday playlists. But then we get to Earth.
Yeah, this is where
We
it
find
really
out
gets.
that we find out the continuation of all the ships having their own different names. So we started with the Benatar.
Oh, cutting out, I think Ed's cutting out there a little
was
bit.
Yeah.
the Bowie.
Yeah, I think.
Oh,
I think you're back now, Ed. We were
You
losing
get
it.
it. Yeah, you were getting a little choppy.
am I
I think
Back.
we're still.
about this? Every now and then my internet site doesn't want to help me.
It's a haunted Christmas tree.
How am I now? Am I back?
Yeah, you're good now.
Hold on a second.
Can we hear me?
Okay.
Can we still hear me? Because I just lost Mike.
I hear you,
Yeah,
Bobby.
I can hear
Okay,
you. Oh,
thank
no,
you.
now you're gone.
Oh,
All right.
we're good.
So we see the
yeah.
depending. Are we good? Thumbs up.
We're good.
Everybody can hear
We're
it.
good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we go back to the ever changing ship names in the Guardians universe. I know about the Benatar. There's another name for one of the ships. I don't know if it was before or after, but there was another band name for one of the ships. What if when T'Challa is Star-Lord, we have the Mandela, and in this movie we have the Bowie, obviously in honor of David Bowie. I was surprised that it was only Mantis and Drax that went to Earth. For some reason in my head, seeing all of the stuff, I assumed it was going to be all the Guardians going to Earth, which I thought would have been really fun. But it's not. It's just the two of them. And they start by showing up in LA, where, of course, there are cosplayers trying to make some money. And she runs up to Captain America, calling him Steve. Oh, it is.
Yeah.
She jumps into his arms. Oh, it was so adorable. I loved it so much. This guy has no clue what's going on.
It was so good.
And then they make a ton of cash by posing as cosplayers themselves, and everybody thinking they're the best version.
Not even trying to. People just assuming
Yeah.
that they're cosplayers. They're like, okay, whatever.
Did you hear what the one character said? She called him the guy from God of War, Kratos. She called
Yeah, Kratos.
him Kratos. I was just like, like that's perfect.
Continuing showing us that pop culture is relevant in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Katniss Everdeen from the Hawkeye series we talked about before we went on the air. Now we have Kratos, and so God of War is canon in the MCU. They end up going to a bar where Drax gets approached by somebody to go out on the dance floor, and he's like, no, dancing is for losers. Cut to a scene of Mantis having the time of her life on the dance floor after having been drinking a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. Okay. They got like absolutely trashed and were just partying in the club. And like the impression I got is that it was a gay club, because the way he was approached at the bar too, and as he walked in, it was a lot of guys paired up with each other in the bar, which is surprising for Disney because they're past. But the fact that he got that in there, I think, was awesome.
Yeah, it looks like they were just having a great time too. It was fantastic scene.
It looks like the kind of bar I would have gone to and hung out at. It looked fantastic. Everybody's having a ball. Everybody's having a good time. Drax is getting drunk with everybody. Mantis is having the time of her life on the dance floor. Mantis has smoke coming out of her mouth, almost like she's a fire-breathing dragon at one point.
Yeah, that was great.
That first shot that she takes, just.
And then, of course, what happens after you drink all that? They're passed out in the corner, not sure what the heck's going on.
They're literally in the gutter.
Yep. They're in the gutter. This lady, she's like, oh, now we'll never find Kevin Bacon. And a lady has a star map standing right behind her and is like, here, I'll sell this to you for like, what was it, $40 or something?
Yeah, 40, yeah.
So even before that, the line that she actually says is, all these brand new Hollywood friends and not one of them can point us in the direction of Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, just this whole movie is just full of good lines. Almost all of them are from Mantis. It was just fantastic. So obviously Mantis uses her powers on this lovely woman to go ahead and get the free star map, where you see most of the DCEU and a young Mark Paul Gosselaar as in character as Zach Morris, which is now Saved by the Bell, is confirmed in the MCU. But we see John Cena, we see Margot Robbie, bunch of other people in the star maps, and then it leads to Kevin Bacon's house.
Yeah.
So they show up at Kevin Bacon's house, and Kevin Bacon is at his house taking all of his stuff out of his car. By the way, the voice on the phone that comes up as Kira is actually the voice of his real-life wife, Kira Cedric, which is fantastic. It's like, it's nothing. Like, all she had to do was, like, have, like, 2 phone conversations with her husband. Not the end of the world. But it's just so fun that James Gunn's like, no, we're going to get her to do it. Like, why get an actress when we can just get the actress?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah, I loved it.
Kevin Bacon is fantastic in this movie. Bobby, I'm going to let you go ahead and talk about just a fantastic job by Mr. Bacon in this entire thing, especially here. But as we go on, he just gets better and better as the show progresses.
First of all, I want to know where the hell Kevin Bacon found the fountain of youth, because at 62 years old, he shouldn't look that damn good. But on top of it, just the comedic chops that he has, the surprise that he has when they approach him, when they come into his house, like he has the reaction you'd expect someone to have when 2 people who he initially thinks might just be people in costume messing around flat out break into his home and with the preparation of.
Oh, Bobby, you muted yourself.
We lost Bobby.
And we're back. Hopefully.
There we go.
All right. But
when we re-edit this, we're going to say the Guardians of the technical difficulties.
That's right, of course. But I mean, Kevin Bacon is just a pure delight. I mean, yeah, he's playing Kevin Bacon in this, but I mean, he just does it to a little bit of an extreme to have some fun with it and go along with it. And the fact that they believe that Kevin Bacon is a superhero and that all his movies were legitimate things that he did to save planet Earth leads to a whole great conversation that I'm sure we're about to get into here right away.
Yeah, I mean, everything else from here we've basically seen in the ads. I mean, I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time. They show up at his house, they try to get in. All of that we've seen in the ads. It goes on a chase through the city. Again, most of that, the best parts of that you've seen. They get into a shootout. Which is the most comical shootout I've ever seen.
Drax just, ow. Oh, he starts laughing. He's just sort of like, stop tickling me.
just so fantastic. He flips the car. Mantis goes, checks on the cops. Like it's the most
gives him the
adorable...
candy cane. It gives him the giant candy cane. It's like, here you go. I'm sorry. Like, just she's literally the purest. I think just the nicest, purest character ever. Ugh.
Yeah, and then they eventually get back on the Bowie, and they're headed back. And this is where the conversation that Bobby was just bringing up. So, Bobby, go ahead and continue your conversation about the Kevin Bacon and the superhero.
That's right. So then they start talking about Kevin Bacon's triumphs, and the triumphs that we mean his movies that they thought were actually legitimate. All the things that he's done in his career that have saved planet Earth, until he starts talking about how, yes, that's a character I played in Footloose, as he mentioned about when Drax brings up that he danced to save an entire town or whatever. And that was a character I played. And then all of a sudden they break down, so you're an actor? And then it becomes,
you're forgetting the fact that they're bringing up his character from the first Jason movie.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
And of course they say that he defeats the Jason Voorhees, which of course Jason Voorhees not even involved in the first Friday the 13th movie, of which Kevin Bacon is a part of. And he does die, and he mentions about the arrow through the neck, and that does happen in that film. And that's where they find out, okay, this is an actor, this isn't a hero, and they start breaking down in tears. I can't believe that you're a dirty, stinking, disgusting actor, the most vile thing that anybody could be. And the fourth wall breaking of having two actors saying this to another fellow actor is just absolute brilliance, and so comical.
Mantis literally like almost puking because she's so like disgusted by it. I was absolutely just I was so blown away. Just her reactions, and Dave's just like, getting all pissed. Oh, dude. Yeah. It was so good. Drax
it was great.
Getting all pissed. It was so good.
So they get there. They get back, and they're still going to present him because she uses her power to convince him that all of these things he's done is real and that he's an actual hero. And he becomes British, which is fantastic.
Yep.
And they said, just be you, but like have the stories be true. So all of a sudden he's back to being him again. And they gather everyone together, and Quill's there, and they go ahead and present the box, and Groot wheels it out on this thing. And you hear Kevin Bacon banging on the box because they didn't put any air holes in it. And he's about to pass out.
Oh, it's so good.
So Quill opens it, and he sees his hero, Kevin Bacon, the man he's modeled his life after. And he is so disgusting. He's like, you kidnapped him? It's so great.
We present to you the Kevin Bacon.
Not the reaction they were hoping for from Quill.
No. I mean, before that, though, even like when Quill first steps in and they do all the Christmas lights and everything like that, and he's absolutely stunned. They've done all these amazing things for him. It almost sets him up for that big disappointment because he's been wowed by all these marvelous things that they did to warm his heart, and he's right there. And then they rip it away by showing him, oh yeah, by the way, we went back to Earth. We messed things up pretty bad down there, and then we kidnapped a Hollywood celebrity while we're at it.
Oh, I love the way like he's like he's genuinely like you can see him almost becoming a kid again, walking through the world of lights, and then they bring the president out, and he's just like, "Oh my God, you got me something!" Like he's got that childlike wonder in his face, and then you hear Kevin Bacon, and his face just kind of like what, and it's just that seriousness come back over him, and when he opens it up and then starts screaming, "You kidnapped him!" and it's just the reaction, and like Kevin Bacon in his trance is just like so happy and like how you doing, Peter, and he's just like but he's just so good. Both of the way they play off each other in there was absolute perfection.
Yeah, it was great. So we get Peter being upset at Mantis and Drax for kidnapping and trafficking, as Peter calls it at one point, and so he sets him free, and obviously Kevin Bacon wants to go home. So Kraglin goes ahead and takes him in the ship, take him back to Earth, and they start having a conversation.
Forget, he runs away, and he sends Nebula after him, and she pulls out the gun. He's like, "Don't kill him."
Yeah, There's
So
just
good.
there are so many little things in here that are just there's too numerous to mention. But he's on the ship with Kraglin, and Kraglin starts breaking down how much Kevin Bacon. He's like, "I'm sorry that they did this to you. You know, they didn't mean to hurt you. They're not trying to be mean. You're just his hero. You're the person he idolizes. He grew up watching your movies, and it took it to heart. And in some cases, some of those movies came to life for him." Because he succeeded in saving the universe, in a world with a dance off, and this touches Kevin Bacon in such a great way, where you see not the icy thaw, but like you see Kevin Bacon realize that like the impact of his movies. Granted, obviously he knows, but in this moment he sees that even universe wide, his movies have an impact on people, and it was just such a great scene to see him. He's like, no, let's go back. First, I want to say thank you to Andre's co-host on Andre and Mel's, all of their wonderful content that you can find on Andre and Mel Ball on Twitch and YouTube. They do all kinds of great things covering the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling and Stardom.
Yeah, and also right here on our local establishment as well too.
We got shows dropping Monday, Wednesday,
side.
And Friday this week. So we got 3 shows coming out this week.
Nice.
So
yes, Bobby did a very good job getting us our fancy background. It's unfortunate that the fancy background is right underneath Bobby, so every time I bring up a message, I get to see the fancy background.
So keep the comments coming. That works.
I like the little reveal every time. It's just like reveal. Okay, reveal. I like it.
But again, so this starts the next part where Kevin Bacon realizes that his work has had an effect on Peter, and that they trying to do well, and he comes back and they have this great time, and it's this great fun party. Groot has all these fantastic gifts of different scenes from the movie, places he wasn't even at. Jacked Groot.
Yeah,
Groot was jacked in this movie.
I'm gonna guess like he's 22. I was thinking like he's young adult Groot now, because he was like angsty teenager Groot last week. So he's like young man Groot now, and he's all like jacked up. He's kind of like in between that scrawny tree and then the tall big ass tree he was in the first one. I love it.
Yeah, this is that last growth spurt that you get like in high school, I think is where we're headed. Because remember, this isn't too far after the end of Guardians 2, as we progress to the start of Guardians 3. I mean, obviously there's the 5-year gap from when everybody, got nixed. But
Groot was gone for those 5 years, so yeah.
But we have the wonderful, and yes, a Groot growth spurt.
Yeah.
A Groot spurt, yeah.
The thing I loved about these Christmas gifts is some of these were things that like Groot hadn't seen, and like he must have been told stories of, or in one case, the Inception one of Kraglin's gift, which is Kraglin holding his gift, which is a gift of Kraglin holding his gift, which is a gift of Kraglin holding his gift, and it goes like 3 or 4 layers down, because every Kraglin in the gift is holding another Kraglin gift.
Yeah, so good. I like Groot. I guarantee you, Groot is the all-seeing eye of the universe. That's why he could see what was going to be and what had already happened. So he's like in his room making this stuff as it's all happening. He's like, Kate making this, because he can see everything in the world. It's got to be some sort of swamp thing. I can see everything in the world.
Did you guys pop as hard as I did for the Game Boy being given to Groot too? I mean, that was fantastic.
We've now into
classic green screen Game Boy.
now here's my question. Like, Peter Quill left Earth in the 80s, correct?
86 or 84 or something. Yeah, mid 80s.
Where does the Game Boy come from? Because the Game Boy's
mid
mid 90s. Mid 90s.
Was it late 80s? I can't
remember. I was a kid, so it was 95, 96, I want to say. But anyways, like we're progressively now. Maybe we're seeing this as items that are traded throughout the universe, and in Nowhere, I'm sure you can find pretty much anything. So it could 89. Be something as 89. Okay,
This
so
is
I was wrong.
89, yeah.
All right.
No,
so,
I was trying to be you wrong, but yeah, it was 89.
No. I have no problem being incorrect.
But it's still too late. He wouldn't have it. Like,
Yeah.
he wouldn't have
So
had
it's
one.
it's something he's come across during his journeys that he would have found that he wouldn't have played with as a kid, which I think is as Mel says, the interactive gift shop, intergalactic gift shop. Also, Guardians of the Galaxy and the Holiday Special. So we have another song here, and it's another great song.
Oh yeah.
As the band plays as we get ready to get to the end of the movie
With Kevin Bacon.
And Kevin Bacon as the musician, which he is in real life. Like, he is a musician who plays music. He's not bad. He's really enjoyable in the song. It's fun. But we get to the big moment here where Peter's up with Mantis, and we get to the moment where she reveals to him that she's his sister, half sister, that they're related. And it's this wonderful moment where everything else that's happened in this special, all the wonderful things she's done for him, none of those mean anything because now he has family. Yeah. The man who was alone, who had nothing because he had to kill his father, because his mother died because his father killed her, because he has no family on Earth because he had to leave. And the woman he loved doesn't exist anymore. And the version of her that does exist in this universe wants nothing to do with him and has run away. And they can't find her currently. Mm-hmm. He has nothing but this ragtag group of family that he has. But now he has a legitimate family. Because of ego. I don't know how much blood there is, so I'm going to say semi-regulated by blood. It's a wonderful moment.
By the weird sparkle inside of him. If you remember from him being scanned in the first one, he had like a glowing thing, like some kind of glow inside. It's the glow they share, is what they share. It's that glow. Yeah,
it's celestial inside them both. Yeah, it's a fantastic way to end the holiday special. Yeah. And that's where they end it in this moment with Peter and Mantis, and they have this wonderful scene. And now we're set up for Guardians 3. We're set up for the search for Gamora. We're set up for all of the fun things we're going to get, all the terrible things we're going to get, because if we look forward, we know of people who we're going to see. We're going to see more of Cosmo. We're going to see more of Gamora. We're going to be introduced to the High Evolutionary when Herbert Wyndham, the person who creates Rocket Raccoon, who people believe are potentially responsible for Cosmo the dog. Herbert Wyndham, the man who experiments on anything and everything. Just like the Collector, but worse, because at least the Collector just collected everything and put it into a case. Herbert Wyndham is worse because he takes these things and experiments on them and tries to make them something they're not. So there's our villain for the Guardians 3. We have a fun scene.
Adam Warlock also is supposed to be in there too. So that's another character that's going to be screwing with the Guardians throughout the movie. And dude, I am so excited coming out of this. And then you have supposedly Sylvester Stallone and Michael Rosenbaum going to be reprising their roles from Guardians 2 as Ravagers, as they are technically playing
the original Guardians.
And they're going to be back in this. So you have quite a large cast to contend with, which I am excited for, and a little bit worried about certain characters not getting as much as they should. That's why I'm really happy that Mantis and Drax got such a forefront in this, because I think they're not going to get as much spotlight in. They're going to get their time, but having this, giving them giving them the spotlight in this is good going forward into Guardians 3, where it's going to be a very ensemble thing.
Couldn't agree more.
Going into Guardians 3, we do have some more questions. James Gunn says this is the end for some of the original Guardians. That some of these stories are wrapping up. He said that he's wrapping some of these stories for some of these Guardians in this. Do we think we're going to lose any of our beloved Guardians in this Guardians 3?
That's a good question. When he says that it wraps for certain ones, you almost start to wonder if that could be the case. Is he going to have a send-off to somebody in particular? But it could just mean that he's wrapping up his portion of it, that these particular characters might not be used going forward, and he's just kind of letting everybody know that ahead of time so that they can prepare themselves for the next evolution of what they do with the series from there on.
I could see it being like, especially like with a guy like Dave Bautista. I know he's going to continue, like, but he's in his 50s now. Could I see them taking his character? I don't see them killing him, but having his character kind of come to a point at the end of whatever Guardians 3 is, and realize he doesn't want to be fighting anymore, and maybe he finds his new family because he lost his wife and kid. Maybe you get that from Drax, and that's his ending without killing him, but you give him something like that to go to take his character away. Now with a high evolutionary thing, part of it, could I see maybe they lose Rocket due to something that High Evolutionary does? Yes, that's one I look at and I go, does he take away what makes Rocket, like takes away the upgrades Rocket has? And it just, you lose that Rocket.
I was going to say, in my mind, the one that comes out to me, especially coming out of this show and everything that's going on with it, what if Quill decides to just relax and settle down? He's got he's got this home now. He's got Mantis as a family member. What if Quill just decides to become a benevolent collector and run, because it seems like that's what he's trying to do as it is in this movie, trying to run Nowhere as a positive place and a place to bring it back to prominence. What if Quill decides to hang up the guns? Because we see to finish off something we forgot about, to finish the movie, we do see the ending of the Christmas story where he's talking to Mantis and he says, yeah, but Kraglin didn't see the other end of that story where Yondu finds the gift. And it's the first of those little chibis that we find out that he collects throughout the movies.
I love that little touch. It was beautiful just to see that, and he got his weapons from Yondu too, that he has had all through the Guardians. And maybe and there's a possibility maybe he passes them on to somebody else at the end of the third movie too.
And I agree with Mel. When I say lose, like when I said lose, I don't necessarily mean that like, are we going to see character? I do character we might lose a specific main character. But I think for a lot of these, I think we're going to be telling new stories with a new group, whether it be Nebula and Rocket and Cosmo and Batista, and Drax, and Kraglin, like having a new group. Because I think Kraglin's going to become more and more important throughout the show. Also, did anybody else find it interesting? I saw this on the Rockstars, and I will give them all the love in the world for this. Eric Voss and those new Rockstars breakdowns are key for me because I'm not as big a comic book person as some other people. Like I didn't grow up reading every comic book. Did anybody find it really interesting that we had the conversation between Kevin Bacon and Kraglin talking about the Jason Voorhees stuff, where Yondu has the arrow that he controls with the whistle, and an arrow through the throat is what killed Kevin Bacon in the movie, and how he's like, I haven't quite got the hang of it, so I won't show it to you.
Oh my
God. He tells him it's an arrow, and the look of pure relief on Kevin Bacon's face, like there's a split second relief view.
I didn't even make that connection.
Yeah.
New Rockstars made it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. New Rockstars made it for me, and I thought that was great. It's like, that's what's great about Marvel and these people that just develop these things, is you can have these little Easter eggs that mean so much. But this was such a great movie. And as we're hitting 44 minutes. It was an A+. Like, honestly, this, for me, because me and Andre have done our rankings and stuff, this sits about top 5 Disney Plus shows. Because,
easily it's up there, yeah.
Because, it doesn't have the far-reaching, the shows are special because there's so much that go into them. Things like WandaVision and, Falcon the Winter Soldier, for all its faults and all its greatnesses, Hawkeye, for, all the good and bad that all these shows do, there's so much told throughout these shows that you do in 6, 8, 10 weeks for some of these shows, that while the special presentation is really good and probably one of the most creative and fun things I've seen all year, there are certain things that it can't surpass in my mind. But like I said, it's top 5. It is one of the best times I've had watching Marvel since the pandemic. in this Phase 4 pandemic era.
I think it sits in it sits with like Werewolf by Night. Oh yeah, right here. My Meteor Shaker Kawa, as I like to call it, the Rogue Energy special. But I like to I look at it like I look at Werewolf by Night. I know you mean ranked, and I ranked Werewolf by Night pretty high. But I also got to look at this and Werewolf by Night as almost like in a separate category as part of Disney Plus than the shows, because the shows are these overarching tales, as you said, telling these stories to continue the universe, where yes, this Guardians does continue stuff to go to the next movie, but it's, if you never saw it, I think it would, if somebody goes to see Guardians 3 without seeing this, you're just gonna be a little bit confusion about the Mantis sister stuff. But otherwise it doesn't, you don't have to, where I think the TV shows have ingrain themselves a little more to building the universe, where these are kind of side things. Same with Werewolf by Night, it's more of a side story, and it's these two are like very. I think this is absolutely just, it's heartwarming, it's fun, and I think it's anybody, you can put it on without even being a Guardians fan, just as a fun weird Christmas movie, and you can enjoy it. Like it's all about just bringing the love of Christmas to somebody. Like I could honestly show it to somebody who isn't a Marvel fan, and I still think they'd enjoy it for what the movie is in itself.
Yeah, and I tend to look at it in that holiday special type vein, because I watch a lot of Christmas movies, a lot of holiday specials this time of year, and I watch a lot of ones where I'm like, that will never be seen again. Time and time again, especially with more modern ones. I watch them and I go, this is just useless fluff that didn't warm my heart, didn't make me have fun. I had no joy in it. And it's rare that you see one come along that you can really pick up on and enjoy enough that it'll become part of your watching every single season. I know I could say the same this season. I've actually gotten 2 of them, and A Christmas Story actually fits in there as well too. But this one, even more fun than that, and this one will be on my watch list every single year.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Yeah, and of course we have the quick post-credit scene where they're trying to decorate Groot as a Christmas tree, and all the things start falling off of him, and then we have Rocket say, "Oh, now we need another special."
Yeah,
and I'm like,
hey,
all
that
right.
makes me happy. And if you look at when Kevin Bacon was leaving at the end, when he was leaving, he says, "I'll see you guys at Easter." Now that could mean an Easter special, or I think it's more it's just after Easter when Guardians is supposed to drop. I think it comes out like late April, early May. So I think I think that's more the nod to I'll see you guys at Easter. And to me, I really hope that means we get a Kevin Bacon cameo in Guardians 3, because that would just warm, just because he's part of the Guardians universe now. If you just that small, maybe just a video of him talking to Peter randomly on a video chat, just giving him advice on how to just do something, I would love it. I would absolutely love that.
They get cell service up there so they can keep in talks.
Mm-hmm.
They have some really good satellites, apparently. I also love that Marvel officially answers that question of how you get like regular cell phones from Earth to do space talk. Of course, we're going to bring that now that we've come full circle at the end of the show. I like Parrish obviously was correct here with this statement here. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you know Marvel,
I am Groot. It's a spoiler.
I love how I've heard. I do love how apparently in the scripts, the Guardians, the stars have said it in the scripts. The I am Groots are followed by what he's saying in them, so that the characters know how to react. So, like, if you ever get your hands on an actual Guardian script, you actually learn so much more because you're finding out exactly what things I am Groot is saying to all of these different people.
Awesome.
You've gotten to know sometimes by their context of how they react that you kind of get what he's referencing, but you don't know exactly what he's saying, because sometimes they're like, oh, and they're disgusted by it, or like when Rocket calls him an idiot sometimes for some of the stuff he said in the first, when you say I am Groot, the first one, you get context. But I would love to get my hands on a script from those first 2 movies, man, or even in the Infinity War, just because of his teenage angst, I would love to see some of the stuff he was saying.
So we're going to go ahead. We're going to head on out of here. We've been here for about an hour. It's been a wonderful time. but the Guardian special's over, and so is this. We're going to go ahead and give Bobby a big screen so he can go ahead and say all the wonderful things he does.
Oh, okay. So yes, as you know, busting out on Sundays, which happened earlier today. So you can go check out the replay right now. Myself and Chris Parrish. Again, I will be on Thursday night with Papa Smokes for Fusion. I mentioned earlier it is the Super Series this week, so we get to see Alexander Hammerstone defend the MLW World Heavyweight Championship against Bandito. You could also check out a couple editions of the Bravado if you like movie reviews. I'm bringing you movie reviews, music reviews. Those have been uploaded to the channels as well. So aside from that, check me out wherever you can. Follow me on Twitch and all those kind of wonderful things. And just want to say it, guys, it's been an honor to be a part of Marvel Talk here today with you guys.
And also, Bobby, since you're one of the people that know most about this, can you go ahead and talk to us about Rogue Energy, our partners at Rogue Energy?
You bet. So we are sponsored by Rogue Energy, rogueenergy.com. If you want a alternative to the energy drinks that you're finding in the stores, you want something that's going to be sugar-free, low-calorie, vegan-friendly, with bursting flavors all over the place, then rogueenergy.com is where you want to go, and use the promo code OLEPODS for 10% off of your order.
Thank you very much. We're going to go ahead and give it to my co-host, Andre C. Andre, tell us all the wonderful places that we can find you. I don't have a banner for you. I have to create one next time because I always forget.
That's all good. So you can find me, my main stuff is on YouTube at Andre and Melba Wrestling Talk, where myself and my co-host Melba, who you've gotten to see in the comments here, we review a lot of New Japan Pro Wrestling. We review Stardom. We do shows when we go to local independent shows here in Edmonton. We review those. We have some just random off-topic ones where we just talk about wrestling. We can find those on Andre Melba Wrestling Talk. This week we have episodes coming out on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and we're going to have multiple episodes over the weeks going forward for the next couple weeks because we are literally covering 3 different tag leagues: Super Junior Tag League, World Tag League, and the Stardom Goddess Tag Team Tournament. So check those out. You can check us out on Facebook, Andre and Melba Wrestling Talk. And then also just want to give a quick shout out to my buddy Mike the Ref over at Backbreaker Video, because he puts our shows up a few days later. Thank you very much. And so thank you for giving me the chance to plug it all.
Of course. And for me, of course, you can find me hosting Variant Wrestling Realities. We're having a little bit of a delay on episode 2 because we're trying to find some specific guests for this specific topic. We may move on to a different topic than we had previously discussed to continue the show moving, because I'm having some NWO style trouble finding some people who watched the early days of the Monday Night Wars. That being said, you can also find me on Twitter at edfries12584. You can find me on my own personal Twitch at edfries2002. I'm streaming there live this right now. You may find me popping in and out on a Tuesday night when I help Astrid and Chris Parrish take over here and there, covering NXT, because I do love my NXT and I love covering it. I did cover it this week, so if you go back to the Ole VODs, you can go ahead and find that, and find me and Astrid hosting and talking all about the wonderful world that was from NXT this week as we get ready to go to Deadline in a couple weeks, the final PLE for the WWE calendar here. But for myself, our guest, Bobby Munson, and my co-host, Andre C., we'll be back sometime, I'm going to say probably early January, when me and Andre are going to go ahead and we're going to talk about the year in advance. As we talk about the year in advance, where we have Ant-Man Quantumania, Secret Wars, Loki 2, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Secret Invasion. Secret Wars is the following year.
Yeah.
We got all kinds of secrets coming out. But yes, we'll be going ahead and covering the year that will be coming up in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So go ahead and enjoy your night, enjoy your weekend. Hopefully everybody, if you're in the States, hopefully you had a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend as we all press forward towards the rest of the holiday weekend into the new year. So for all of us, to all of you, have a great day. Bye.